So, do you have anything else like upcoming that you could mention?
Uh, Only thing that I can mention fully is just like my series that I have on YouTube called "I'm Gonna Be Frank," and I also put it on social media like Instagram and Twitter as well. And it's just a series I've been doing for a while now, and it's nothing like super crazy. It's just I sit down or I'm on the move and I'm just sharing things I've learned or struggles I've had in hopes of like helping someone else who may be going through that. Um,
I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill and I'm your host. And today I have, well, another special guest, as you will soon discover, Frank Oakley III. It was Hallmark that introduced me to this incredible person, incredible creative artist, but he is so much more than that. We had such an amazing chat. He revealed things that actually he hasn't even said anywhere else, is what he told me. So you might know him from Sweet Magnolias, but get ready, fasten your seatbelts, and sit back and relax and enjoy another episode of Media from the Heart. Enjoy! Today, I have a very special guest, as always, but he's a very special guest. I've had the opportunity to interview him before, and this is the first time that we've actually gotten to chat, which is kind of cool. And so his name is Frank Oakley III. So it's nice to officially meet you, Frank. I know that we've had this connection for a little while, but very nice to meet you, and thank you for being a part of my podcast. It's nice.
Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. So let me give you a little bit, just a little short thumbnail of who Frank Oakley III is, in case you're not familiar with him. Frank is a professional actor and creator based in Atlanta, Georgia. He is a proud alumnus of the University of Missouri, Kansas City, where he obtained his Bachelor of Arts in Theater Performance and has a background in various sports, marching band, and personal training. He's extremely passionate about projects that inspire and give hope to people through unpacking the broken, vulnerable, playful, and powerful expressions of life, as well as projects that explore storytelling through physicality. Whether it's diving into a deep thought piece or fighting a CGI monster, Frank is all about telling a story that is going to be inspirational, hopeful, and entertaining to the masses on screens and stages across the world. Well, I think that what I really appreciate about your bio there is it's not the standard. He was born in blah blah blah, and I'm not saying that's a problem, but and I mean we get the little we find out a little bit about you, but then we find out more about who you really are, and that's what I love. It's like you've already given me so much to work with based off just this bio. It's that we can go lots of fun directions, but so that's so kudos to was that out of curiosity, did you write that bio or did somebody write it for you?
So it was me. So like I tend to like write a little too wordy sometimes. So again, my wife, she is the MVP. I'm like, hey, how can I like condense this and make it like concise but still get everything across? So she partnered with me to help me do the bio.
Well,
So
there
yeah.
you go. So in this case, you've got a good woman behind you that's making sure that you're right on point. So well, kudos to that partnership then, because it looks like you have a great partner who is supporting you in every aspect of your life, and I'm sure you support her. When did you first decide to go the direction of acting? Was it or performing? Was this something that you wanted to do as a child, or did it come about later?
It's a little bit of both. At first, when I was a kid, like I'm a '90s baby, so I grew up watching like all this stuff on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and all that. And I remember watching All That, which was like the kid version at that time of SNL, and it had Keenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell on there. And then they got a spinoff show from that. And I remember watching their show, and I was like maybe 4 or 5. And I was just like, man, it looks like they're having a lot of fun. I would love to do that. But it didn't go past that. So to fast forward a little bit, like I used to sketch and draw. I wanted to be a cartoonist, even make comic books someday. But fast forward a little bit, When I got into my first college, which was Lincoln University in Missouri, I was sitting in my dorm room, and I think this was my second year there in 2011 and sophomore year. And I was sitting there and I was just like, man, am I really going to be, content or happy doing broadcast journalism? Because that's what I was majoring in, because that was the closest thing, acting. So I was sitting there, I was like, man, am I going to be content doing this? And so I just kind of sat there, and then I'm trying to keep it, make sure we land the plane, trying to keep it concise. But I after having that moment, the acting thing just kind of came back to my mind because I used to make videos and do like little goofy skits like all teenagers used to do, and but I enjoy doing that. So the acting thing kind of came back up, and I was like, I don't know about that. So I reached out to my high school debate and forensics coach, and she was also teaching theater there, Miss Michelle Lee. And I asked her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe doing acting. I don't really know where to start. Any ideas, any suggestions? And she gave me like a litany of stuff, of like resources and things to look up. And one of the things that she had me look up was the Perry Mansfield Performing Arts School and Camp in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And they have a summer intensive, and I auditioned for it. She helped me like do the audition and everything, and I got in. I even got a scholarship, but there was still a deficit, and I forgot how much the deficit was, but I still had to pay a little bit more money in order to go. So then I was like, okay, I don't really know if I can do that because I don't have the money and stuff. She kind of helped me like sell candy bars, just whatever we could do to like try to make the extra money, get real close to it. Still didn't quite have enough. So I just prayed about it, and I was just like, all right, God, if this is something, if acting is something that you call me to do, or is, what I'm supposed to do, you got to make it work. Cause I mean, I can't. And during that time, also, I think either after I had got accepted or right before, I was also looking at schools, colleges to go to for theater. And one of the schools that I looked at was UMKC, University of Missouri Kansas City, and I'm from Kansas City, Kansas, which is about maybe 10 to 15-minute difference driving across the bridge. And so I got that. And then I found out, which was way later in life, I found out that her and Melinda McCrae,
Mhm.
that works with the Kansas City Repertory Theater. I think she was the head of education, I think, and she still might be. And she was an alumni who went to that program as well. And her and Miss Lee put together the rest of the money to get me to go out there and a plane ticket, which I didn't know that until way later.
Yeah.
So during that time, I had applied for UMKC. I got into that. So those two things confirmed to me. I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And ever since June of 2011, I've been doing the acting stuff. So yeah.
Oh wow. No, and trust me, you didn't ramble. That was actually you told that story quite well. That was good. It was good. Because you filled in a whole lot more. That was a lot more detail. And I like that you added in those details. That's really something. So from broadcast journalism to acting, which was your real passion. And I love the whole comic book thing. So is that still something? Do you still do sketching?
I sketch here and there. It's nothing serious. Like if I'm bored or something, I'll still like sketch little things. But now the comic book obsession has moved to like wanting to be in something Marvel related since like since probably the first X-Men movie back in like 2000. So I'm just like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's quite the dream. Then I could certainly see that progression, and yeah, since it's mentioned in your bio about doing physical things, and which it's very clear. I mean, I can look at you and think, okay, yeah, this guy's has has a workout regimen for sure. I mean, that comes across. But you've been involved in sports. I think you mentioned for
Mhm.
most of your life. What sports have been your big things?
So I tried football for a little bit. Football wasn't for me. I tried it for like maybe a season in middle school. Didn't work. But then when I got to high school, I did wrestling all 4 years. I did track and field all 4 years. Marching band isn't considered a sport, but it absolutely should be. And I boxed a little bit when I was in high school, nothing serious. Then dropped it and then came back to it. And I still kind of box now, but again, nothing serious, just more so for like cardio and just staying in shape. And then I was a personal trainer certified for 4 years as well.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it sounds like you've been preparing for this Marvel role that we know you're going to get one of these days. We know yeah, you put it out there. I think that all of us listening would say, yes, absolutely. Yes, the Marvel universe needs to employ you for sure. So we'll put it out there. We'll put it out there. We're rooting for you. Um, so then theater, you graduated with a degree in theater. So that
Mhm.
was so is that then where most of your experience has come is theater?
Yeah, most of my experience definitely came from doing theater at UMKC. I was very, very, very fortunate when I got there as an undergrad. My first one of my first shows was a grad show, and for the most part, I kind of was able to do a even balance of like undergrad grad shows. So I was really fortunate to get a lot of solid training through that. And then also, like, I think I did my first professional theater show while I was still an undergrad,
Mm,
called Blacktop Sky at Unicorn Theater in Kansas City, Missouri. And I think that was in like 2012, I think. And yeah, so pretty much 99.9% of my training comes from theater.
that's cool. Well, because I so then how have you then been able to make the transition into doing TV and film? How did that come about?
It was funny because I mean, even when I first started doing theater, I knew that film and television was always my goal. So like, I wanted to get the foundation from theater and then learn how to like transition into that. And I think honestly, the best way that I kind of transitioned into that was just getting experience, getting on set experience. Like I knew how to act, I knew how to build a character and all that kind of stuff, but getting those reps in and learning how, okay, my frame is this big, I need to bring the performance to this frame versus, trying to project to like, 20,000 people or however big, the audience is. So a lot of that transitional experience happened while I was working on set in real time.
Okay. So what was um your first like TV film role?
Uh let's see. So, and it's not like I've done so many, it's just sometimes
Yeah.
I forget them, but I believe my first professional TV credit was, I want to say, Detective Number 1 on uh I think it was Swamp Murders.
That sounds I know I looked through your credits. That sounds like I know that appeared and that was one of the early ones. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was that one. And then for film, I want to say my first film credit, which I don't think is on IMDb, is I want to say it was with one of my buddies back in Kansas City, Josh Leonard. We just made stuff. He just wrote something and we just put it on camera, but I don't think it's on IMDb. But yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, and I think where I actually first saw you, because I believe there is a Hallmark film in your
Hmm.
repertoire, and
Yep.
that's where I first noticed you. It was is it Love Under the Sun? Is that what it's called?
Love in the Sun.
Love in the Sun, not Under the Sun.
Yep.
Okay, I was close.
In
Love,
the sun, under the sun, around the
right,
sun.
right. And
Yeah.
the cool thing about that, so you would be considered basically a regional actor since you're based out of Atlanta. Um,
Mhm.
and of course, the Atlanta film industry has grown up so exponentially over the
Yeah.
past few years. I mean, well, and I'm sure Tyler Perry has something to do with that as well. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I would
Oh
say
yeah.
definitely. That's like, um, I mean, I think give him a few more years, and I know that his what he has built there is going to far surpass anything LA has, and so
And I want to say his studio compound might be the biggest in the country. I think.
I believe you're
Yeah.
correct. That's what I've been told, and from those who have had the privilege of working on his shows, and yeah. So I'm sure it's coming. I mean, I know he's made quite a splash over there,
Mhm.
but I think Love in the Sun was one of the first films that Hallmark did in Georgia, I want to say. I mean, I know they. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that, but
I
um, it
I
would have
wanna
been.
say I wanna say we filmed that in St.
Oh,
Petersburg
St.
or
Petersburg.
Petersburg,
Okay,
Florida.
that
I know
might
it was
be.
in Florida.
Okay, Florida. That's right. Because I know they've done one or two in Georgia. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure. I forget sometimes. Okay, St. Peter. But anyway, I think it actually. Okay, then that means it was probably one of the first Florida ones that they did, an
Mhm.
early Florida one. That much I do know. 'Cause I knew it's one of the early Southern ones. Is probably what I'm thinking. One of the
Yeah.
because so often they're filming up in Canada, or they don't film very much in LA, but they film a lot in Canada, and
Mhm.
so that's right. It was Florida. You're exactly right. So so how did that particular film opportunity come about?
So it came through my agents. They sent me the breakdown, and that was actually it's a funny little story, and I will keep it tight. But when I had got the audition, I was working security with a security company called Vincent Guard, and they're a great company to work for. And they had me stationed at one of the Aldi's, I think off of Buford Highway. But anyway, I was working security there. I had got that audition and turned it in right before work shift actually. And I was just kind of like feeling like good about it and everything. And I was just like, man, um, I kind of want to transition back to just solely focusing on, just the acting stuff and not like the other jobs.
Mhm.
And I was just like, man, I don't know. So I get it. And we were also, me and my wife were getting ready to move to a different apartment. And so when we moved to the different apartment, I had asked my boss, but I asked her, I was like, hey, do you know if they have a location, an Aldi's location out to where I'm about to move to? And she was just like, no, we don't. Officer Scott, there it is. And she said we don't. So that was kind of tough because then the money I was making at that job really wouldn't weigh out how much I had to drive from the new apartment to the Aldi. So I was just like, man, I don't know. So I got the booking and I was like, okay, I think I have to quit this job because the whole apartment thing, but also like I just kind of felt in my spirit like I feel like I should just try to take the leap and only focus on the acting stuff. So that project was a big faith jump for me to get a part of. So that project's always kind of like a little special thing up in here. So
Oh,
yeah.
oh yeah. Well, and I still remember you from that movie. I mean, that's again, that was my introduction to Frank Oakley III, was that movie. And I remember that you stood out. Your character stood out to me in that movie, because I try to watch all the Hallmark movies. I'm a little bit behind right now. I'm still watching Christmas movies.
There's so many.
There's so many, and
There's so many.
yeah, but I do typically I'll eventually get caught up, and I've watched most Hallmark movies. And so were you that familiar with Hallmark when that job came along?
Yes and no, but more on the no side. Because funny enough, Hallmark's headquarters is back in Kansas City. So I've auditioned a lot for like Hallmark card commercials and things like that. But yeah, that's as far as my knowledge of Hallmark went. So my wife had to school me on the Hallmark of like, oh, this is exactly how it's gonna go. This is how you should do it. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, cool, because I don't know nothing about it other than that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good that your wife was able to do that. That makes a lot of sense, because yeah, we know that most yeah, I've got a virtual audience, and both of these people, they do watch Hallmark. Interestingly enough, I had Chad on another recording, because since he's a podcaster, and he calls himself the male unicorn in the Hallmark universe because he watches the Hallmark movies. And so we,
Man,
but most people who watch Hallmark still are women, That is true. Their men often will have to tag along and watch along with them. It's like, okay, I want to hang out with my woman, so I'll watch it. But that's good. That's good that your wife was able to help you out with that. Um, so I know that you were part of the show Underground Railroad as well.
Mhm.
Um, and that show is one that's on my watch list. I have not watched it yet, but I know I want to. I mean, it's like one of those that's on my to be watch list very soon, for as a matter of fact. And so what was the experience like being in a show like that?
It was amazing. I mean, the subject material was a little tough, but the experience was amazing. I mean, literally, I want to say maybe 3 to 6 months before I booked this audition, or yeah, booked this audition. I was literally watching an interview of Barry Jenkins accepted an award, and his speech just blew me away. And I was just like, man, just saying it as like a throwaway, like, man, it'd be cool to work with him someday, not thinking that it would ever actually happen. And then it happened. So that experience working with him it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and then some. He was just he's just very open, very collaborative, even with the role that I had, which I try not to say big roles or small roles, because I mean all the roles are important, but for the sake of, like, the conversation, I'll say a small,
Mhm.
with quotation, smaller role. And like I would just be doing little things in character, having little moments. Like there's a moment when Charles Green comes in. He's an actor who's also represented by my same talent agency, and he's a really good dude. He comes in and he is asking where is Caesar, who is played by Aaron Pierre, and Stevie Baggs, who is, all three of us are friends in the storyline. We're both supposed to point to where Aaron is, but I in character I'm like, I don't want to point because I don't want to rat him out. And then Barry comes up after, he's like, so why didn't you point at him? I was just like, I just didn't want to snitch on him. And he's like, okay. And it would be just little moments like that where he would ask like what I was thinking about when I did something, not to like chastise me, but just be like, and I don't think I had to prove it to him either, but he was just open to be like, okay, if it makes sense,
Right.
I'm cool with it. Like that collaborative with, again, quote unquote small role, it just spoke to him as a collaborator and as a director. I got really close with Aaron and Stevie. So a lot of the like friend stuff you see on camera, that's pretty natural and pretty genuine. Yeah, it was just an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience.
That's cool. Yeah, well, that's a show that I've heard a lot about, but then I there are so many shows out there
Hmm.
that kind of goes on the back burner for a while. And then as I was preparing to interview you again, like even last week, I was looking, it's like, I need to look that show up because I know I've heard such incredible things about it. And so now that I've talked to you about it, it's like, okay, I really want to watch it. It's like now I really do.
I will say when you do watch it, definitely pace yourself, because I mean it's a heavier show.
Yeah.
I don't shy away from it,
Right.
but definitely pace yourself. Pace yourself.
Yeah, I've been learning that because I've just started watching The Handmaid's Tale, and
Hmm.
that is again a really heavy show, and I have to really think about, okay, do I need to watch this right before I go to bed? Probably not. It's like I've got to figure out the right times because really heavy where you've got to really pay attention. So that's good to know. I will definitely do that when I watch that. I'm not. It's not one. This is a perfect segue. Sweet Magnolias again is one that, yeah, it deals with some serious things, but it's a little bit lighter, so you feel
Hmm.
like you can watch, you can sit down and just like binge like people have been doing. You read all the comments of people are just binging it in one night because the season,
Yeah.
it's because it's really good, but it's also not quite as heavy. So what was it like for you, that whole experience of auditioning, landing that role, and filming that role? What has been the Sweet Magnolia experience for you?
It's been a lot of stuff. I'll start with what it's been, and then I'll hop back to what the auditioning process was like. But this show, man, and I'm not just saying this to, like, this is really just opening my heart here, but this show has been being a part of this team has just really helped me find my feet here in Atlanta. It's helped me just find my comfortability on sets. It's helped me find some great community of people. It's a part of, I would say, and I might be the only one to say it, but I'll still say it. Like, I feel like it's definitely made history here in Atlanta, because as far as my very limited knowledge goes, I feel like it's kind of like what, and I don't know if this is the proper term for it, but I just kind of call it that. I feel like it was kind of like in the most respectful way possible. It was kind of a guinea pig
Mhm.
of being like, oh, okay, we have this show and we're filming in Georgia, and we're going to use like 75, 85, 95% local people in like larger roles. And not saying that's unheard of in Georgia, but I definitely, you don't see it as much, at least from my perspective. Again, very limited. Where most of the time the traditional thing is like you're bringing in people from LA to fill in these bigger roles, but they really trusted the local talent here, and the numbers, on Netflix show that like, hey, we can not only film in Georgia, but we can use mostly like local talent to carry a show. So yeah, it's all those things, and I'm really grateful to just be in like such a part of that family. And yeah, I don't know, it's like I could really gush about that a lot, but it is, this show is meant a lot to me. And kind of going back to the Marvel thing, I feel like it can be like the actor Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, how he was in Kim's Convenience, and then he got Shang-Chi. I'm just like, hey, this is kind of like my Kim's Convenience. God willing, I'll be on this show for, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. And then someday I'll, make my little Marvel transition.
There you go.
But yeah, it's definitely a show that helped me grow a lot as an artist and as an actor, and just explore. So I'm grateful for that. And yeah, and then to kind of hop back to the auditioning process, it came through pretty much like a standard audition would, through my agents. I want to say it was like a Monday or a Tuesday. I got it. And I actually auditioned for a different role in the show originally. And I had got the sides and everything, prepared them, filmed them, did a self taping. For anyone who may be listening, on playback, who don't know what a self tape is, it's just an audition you do at home with your camera or your phone. Did that, turned it in, and then maybe mm, either the next day or the next couple of days, I had got an email back saying, "Hey, we want to do an in-person producer callback." Never done that before, so I'm just like excited, but also a little nervous. And then maybe the night before the actual callback, I had got an email saying, "Hey, we also want you to read for this character," and that character was Harlan. And so I go in there, I drive up, I park, say a quick little prayer in my car, and I'm like, Lord, let me just do well in this room, reflect you well, and just, all right, let's go. So I go in, and I go into the room, and it was about maybe 10 or 15 people there, which was 10 or 15, well, mm, 9 or 14 more people than I expected. So that kind of psyched me out a little bit. And at this time, this was the biggest audition I've ever done, the biggest callback ever done. So I was just like, oh man. So I started getting a little in my head and kind of defeat myself a little bit. So we're doing the sides, and we get to like the end of it, of the first character. The first character was Chef Eric. And we got to the end of that, and it was, to me, it felt like, oh my gosh, I never wanted to run out of a room so fast and be like, I am bombing this. But we get through it, and as I was getting ready to, pack up and leave, I was just like, they didn't read me for Harlan yet. Should I? Because man, I don't know. I don't know if they want to see more, because I just bombed this. But I was like, "Do you want me to also do Harlan?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure, sure, absolutely. Can't believe we almost forgot that. Go ahead." And that one was a little bit easier because I had already bombed the rest of it. So I'm like, okay, I can't get much worse than what I just did. So all right. And then just to backtrack a little bit, there was also I have what I call the perfect actor setup in that room, where I went in the room. Norman, the director, he actually looked at my resume, which they don't always look at the resume, but he like legitimately looked at it. He even recognized somebody on there, which was Rich Newey, who directed Love in the Sun. And I was just like, oh, this is great. You know, he looked at my resume, he recognized somebody on there. We're good. But also, I think he sensed I was a little nervous after I was kind of stumbling through the first round of sides. So he was just like, "Hey, we like you a lot. Relax. We want you to do your best." That made me more nervous. So I was just like, okay. So all of that, and then to add on top of that, the reader for that audition, he was Chase Paris of Chase and Terra Casting here in Atlanta, which are they're one of the bigger casting directors here. So I didn't know that until I got home, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Not only did I bomb this audition, I bombed it with one of the biggest cast directors in town. I'll never get this role. I won't. They won't call me back again. Oh my gosh. But then fast forward the day before Spider-Man comes out. I was really excited to see it. And I needed that pick me up because I thought I did so bad with this audition. I get the offer around like 10 p.m. the night before Spider-Man comes out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So that's the condensed version of how that whole audition process went.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, and it was interesting. Chad, one of our audience members, who just said, "You usually book the auditions that you bomb." And I was thinking that to myself, I was thinking so many actors I hear, "Oh, I bombed that audition and then I got this role." And it's just it's always interesting how so often I'll hear actors say, "Well, if you feel really good coming from an audition, you probably aren't going to get the
Mm.
role."
Yep.
And not that it's always that way, but it's I've heard enough stories over the years that I'm hearing you talk about how you felt like you bombed it, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's a good sign because you're probably gonna get it. You're probably gonna get it.
Man.
Uh, oh, and yes,
And
and
I feel
Chad said you must have been so excited while you were watching Spider-Man. Um,
Oh yeah, that helped. That helped a ton. Cause I'm just like, yes.
I can imagine. Oh my goodness. Well, that just tells me so much. It's so exciting. I love that you're telling us some of these details that I've not heard before. So that makes it really fun for me. And you're
I never talked about them before either, not publicly.
well,
So
there
this
you
is
go. So you have the
good.
opportunity. I'm glad because I find it just fascinating. We're really getting a more of a snapshot idea into who you really are, and I love that you're so open and you're sharing all these things. It makes it lots more fun because then when I watch Sweet Magnolias, I'm gonna be thinking these things. Oh, he told me about this story and that story, and so 2 seasons in now, but the ratings have been so strong, and I mean it's all over everywhere. I my feed is constantly full of Sweet Magnolia stuff.
Mhm.
I never have to worry because the Hallmark audiences love it, and since I have so many friends who are into Hallmark anyway, they love it, which is just right up their alley. And then people who you don't. It's amazing to see the support from people that you wouldn't think that they would even be going for it. Yeah.
Yep, they have this. They're the sleeper audience, which would probably be some of my demographic because I grew up, country in the hood, so normally we wouldn't be watching that kind of stuff. But because like they either know someone in there, because I've had some of my like most intimidating friends hit me up like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to watch Sweet Magnolias, man, season 2, let's go." Like I would never think that, but it's like it's one of these shows. It's one of those shows that like once you get in that first episode, you're actually like, okay, because it kind of going back to Chad's point of being the unicorn watcher. I think that same demographic kind of goes with Sweet Magnolias at first, where the hardcore people who love like the Hallmark feel, they're like all over it, and then you're just like, oh, wait a minute, this is good. I'm invested in this. So it's not what I thought it was. Of like, oh, another like Hallmark kind of thing. Like, no, this is just really surprising. It's really different, and if you give it a shot, you'll really like it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got some edge to it. You're
Mhm.
not you're not just gonna you still come away feeling good. They're dealing with some pretty serious issues.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to explore it, which is something I really, really like. Really, really like.
Exactly. And I think it's really smart if you think about it, since it's filmed in Georgia, and there are people who are probably watching it who are watching it because it's filmed in their state. It's filmed in their area. Georgia's a pretty big state. You get all those people watching it, you don't have to worry about the rest of the country. I mean, if Georgia's
Right.
Georgia's watching it and you get a huge amount of people in the South watching it,
Hmm.
well, then Netflix would they got to renew it.
Yeah.
They
I
don't have
mean,
a choice.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I would genuinely be surprised if we didn't get a third season.
But well, I'm really grateful that you have had this opportunity because it's just been it's cool. It was really exciting when I first reached out to you because I knew about your work at Hallmark, and then it's like, oh, Sweet Magnolias, look, look at all this, and so that's really cool. Um, so I think, and I also saw listed in your credits the Wonder Years. Is that what I
Hmm.
saw? Now this is the new Wonder Years. Is that is this like the because I have not I know I've heard about it, but I've not actually seen it. And so you've been a part of that as well.
Yep. I was in episode 5 called The Lock In, and I was the pastor.
Oh,
And I'm kind of in charge of the lock in, and it's a lot of antics and shenanigans that happen behind the scenes. But yeah, it was a really fun episode to work on, and it gave me a chance to like tap in more to my like silly, goofier side. Because I'm usually always, going out for the serious stuff, which I don't mind. That's my bread and butter. But I'm also like really goofy, and I never get a chance to do that. So that was a blessing in that way too, just to explore, a side of me that I don't necessarily get to express on screen.
okay. Well, I know I need to look that one up. Did you ever watch the original Wonder Years?
Yeah, when I was younger, it's definitely that's when it used to be on ABC Family,
Mhm.
that channel, and I would watch it. And I would watch it faithfully, but like if my Saturday morning cartoons or something have transitioned to like the adult stuff, I'm like, okay, let's just see what this is, and I would watch Wonder Years quite a bit.
Okay. Well, I will definitely have to look that one up and see you in that because that sounds like a fun role. That sounds like an ideal role. I would love to see you as a goofy pastor. That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
That sounds like fun.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like I just want a comedy. I just want to turn something on just for fun and
yeah.
cool that you got that opportunity. So, do you have anything else like upcoming that you could mention?
Uh, Only thing that I can mention fully is just like my series that I have on YouTube called "I'm Gonna Be Frank," and I also put it on social media like Instagram and Twitter as well. And it's just a series I've been doing for a while now, and it's nothing like super crazy. It's just I sit down or I'm on the move and I'm just sharing things I've learned or struggles I've had in hopes of like helping someone else who may be going through that. That and then I just wrapped a project. I'm really excited about that. Obviously I can't say anything about it, but I am really excited about that one, and I don't know when it'll come out, but I can say it's a film. So that's probably about all I can say. I could probably say more, but I just always play it super safe and just like I guess it's making me practice for when I'm in Marvel when they can't say anything. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah. So well, that's great. Well, we'll be looking for that, and we'll have to look up that YouTube show because actually, I'll admit I'm not even sure that I was aware that you had a YouTube show because or maybe I was at one point and forgot. So
I
I
mean,
will.
I don't like. I mean, I don't I promote it, but I don't like advertise it like that. So it can be really easy to miss anyway.
Right.
But
No, but I'm glad you mentioned it. So Paula, I know you must have some questions, so I'm going to bring you on.
I'm gonna be all over the place, but I'm gonna
oh no, you're fine.
I'm gonna be stick with Magnolia first.
Okay,
And I love your character. I wish they'd give you more.
thank you.
I could see you. Where would you want your character to go?
Again, it is another running joke in my house with my wife where it would be interesting to see him because I can kind of see Harlan doing something political almost, where it's like maybe he can run for mayor someday. I think that'd be interesting to see. But that's definitely something I've played around with in the house of just like I think I would like to see him run for mayor or do something community oriented where he's like serving or helping. I mean, I know he's doing that. He gets to do that with the baseball team and the kids, but like, how can he maybe expand that reach?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter-in-law texted me yesterday and she goes, "Oh my God, the cliffhanger." I go, "Oh my God, yes, the cliffhanger." She was just on season 1 and I was on season 2.
Oh gosh.
She goes, "No, no, no, don't tell me, don't tell me." She was like, and then she called me later in the evening. "I watched it. I can't believe it." And I go, we were just like so excited, it was just because she thought I was, she goes, "Did you know it came out?" And go, "Yeah, I binged it all night long." So I did see it. And so how long does it take you to do one season? What is your filming?
Uh, I think it varies sometimes. With season one, I want to say we started in July and wrapped around maybe October.
Oh
And then
wow.
for season two, we started April-ish and then wrapped in like July, maybe August. I would have to look at my like calendar, but it's about that time frame,
Yeah.
give or
So
take.
how how soon do you know once they announce that the season has been picked up, season 3 gets picked up, how soon do you know like where you're do the, that you're going to be coming back or that you're going what your character is going to be doing? Do you know that when they hire you, do you get to read in ahead and see what where your character is going or
I don't, but I know like the series regulars, they do get to get like full scripts ahead of time. Usually, how it works with me is whatever episode I'm going to be in, I'll get that script.
okay.
So there's a lot like in the filming of season one and even in some of season two where there's things like I just didn't know.
Oh, okay. So you're just as surprised as the cliffhanger as I am. So,
Yep.
yeah. So, okay, and we won't tell Ruth. We will have to watch it.
Right.
And,
I will say the cliffhanger in season two definitely went up the one from season one.
oh,
So
Oh my
I
goodness.
just was I was shook up.
My heart.
I did
Oh
not.
my goodness. Can I handle it? I
I
haven't,
know you can't. I
I
didn't
haven't
like it
gotten
at all.
quite that far, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like it at all. It was so upset. so, so then in your little bio thing it said that you're a storyteller. Are you meaning you're acting your stories out or are you actually making stories and telling stories of things from your life or from uh, family histories and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both, especially, on the acting side, but I'm also like, writing scripts and coming up with different film projects I want to do. I haven't like put the foot to the pedal as far as like getting them done, but I'm definitely like, I have all these different documents of like ideas and tentative scripts to where when I get to a specific place where, because I want to be able to do them and do them well and with excellence. And I know I can't do that just yet because I want to make sure I can hire, good production team and make sure I'm paying them well and all that kind of stuff. So just getting the concepts down. And then once I can get the other stuff in line, then it's like full sale.
Yeah. It also said that the you can accents you do the accents African or Jamaican or British. How do you do that? How do you change your voice? Do you have to study
So
it? Do you listen or
it's a little bit of that, but more so, I'm very fortunate that one of my professors back at my college, I still work with him sometimes with like accent work and things like that. So probably the past maybe 3 or 4 months, we've been working IPA, which is I forget the technical term for it, but it's like learning how different regions talk and like being able to write it out phonetically and things like that. So it's more of a tactic of like, looking at, let's see, I had it somewhere because I might can show you what it looks like. Ah, let's see. Ah, yeah. So I have this here. which is, let's see if I can get it in order here. So he would have us kind of like do a mock thing where like we have the lexical sets here of like, let's see if I can read it this way as well. So you have how, RP, which is like British, how they would say a certain word or a certain thing, and then the general American. And then you have the sets here that just kind of say like you have your kit set, your dress set, your trap set. And basically what that means is like the word kit or other words that sound like kit, how they would pronounce it and with a British accent and how we pronounce it. And I think there's like 20 or so sets, and he would just give me like, because I had an audition where I needed to do, I believe it was a Afro-Cuban accent, and I've never done that or heard of it. So I was like, hey, can you help me out? And he had me just go through all the sets and find the differences and like write it down how I would say it, and then find out by listening to some audio how the other person would say it. And then you're looking for commonalities in between those, some of those. And this is a real long-winded, worded way to explain. Like basically, it's like it sounds like it's a lot, but it's not a lot. But you just like find text, you break it down, and you find where the similarities are. Because sometimes with accents, you can be surprised that sometimes you would go in with a thought of like, oh, this is how British people normally sound, but then you realize, oh, actually, some of the same things that they say or how they say it, I would say it as well. So yeah, I'm rambling now, but it's a real long-winded, rambly way to just say that like I find different I find common things, and then I find different things with the accent, and then I learn those and then do the accent. That's
I'm
probably how I
glad
should have
you
said
ram. I'm glad you rambled because it
Me
is
too.
because you can watch these movies and you can see somebody he's playing an English accent in one movie and then a Southern accent in another, and you wonder how they can switch. So thank you for explaining that.
And everybody's process is different too. Some people do this, some people might do other things. You just have to find out what works best for you. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now you said you were in the band. I'm assuming that was like when you were in high school. What instrument did you play?
So I've been doing band since seventh grade in middle school, and I started off doing percussion primarily. Bass drum, tenor drum, snare drum, and then once I got up to, I believe, junior year in high school is when I started learning tenor sax, and so I learned that and kind of played that through college. When I went to my first college, I went to that college off of a marching band scholarship and played there for 2 years. So yeah, primarily percussion, and that's like my strong suit. Saxophone, I'm okay at. I can read music and play, but I'm not like Kenny G or somebody.
Yeah. If you lived in Florida, band is considered a sport, and
Should be.
you get credit for it if you
Yeah.
live. Yeah, yeah. I had one other question about Steel Magnolia. I had written down. Is it in a studio, or are they actually using homes in that little town or that they're shooting it in?
So it's both. They have a sound stage where they build the sets, and then they also do on location. Like all the baseball stuff is on location.
Okay.
Uh, I forget what episode it was. I think it was episode 7 in season 2 when we see Isaac's house. That's an actual house. So it's a little bit of both. They have some stuff they build at the soundstage, and then some that are on location. Yeah.
They just probably rent out local homes to use for the thing. Then the other one I'm really interested in is in your training. You said you were a trainer
Mhm.
for weight training. Do you power lift? Do you still keep up a daily routine of lifting? What is your like every day?
Yeah. So Monday through Friday is when I work out. Saturday and Sunday is when I rest. Sometimes I might change that up depending on what I'm like, getting in shape for. I genuinely try to stay like in like kind of a what I call an in-between state where I'm not like extremely bulky, but I'm not super skinny either, but just kind of right in the middle in case Marvel calls and they're like, hey, we need you to bulk up, and it won't be so so hard to adjust. But yeah, that, and then boxing for my cardio. Sometimes I might get on the elliptical, but nothing insane. Just staying in general shape.
Have you competed?
I've always wanted to try, but it's really expensive, so I never did it.
Yeah.
But if I were to, I would have probably did the natural physique competition, because when I worked at the Y as a personal trainer, one of my co-trainers, their partner, uh, they competed both like in like I forget the terms. I just remember the natural one is the one that I remember, but then you have the other one which is more of a not so natural physique. I mean, it's still natural because you have
Yeah.
to get it, but you know,
Yeah.
it's like muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles, and I'm like,
No.
but yeah,
I have a trainer, and I work with the trainer 3 days a week, and he just approached me, and he wants me to try out for the amateur master class and I'm going to be 70,
hey,
and I've never lifted weights before, and I'm up to 120 pounds with a hex bar, and I just like, this is like a whole new life, it just is, they really get into it, the guys in the gym, and I said, I'm not dressing like those guys
you don't want to
if
anyway.
I compete, there's no way
I
that
can
I'm going.
I can almost guarantee your trainer is probably thrilled that you're doing that because I mean that's pretty much a universal language. I think all trainers speak is just like we really care about our clients and about their health, like their lifestyle, not just for
Yeah.
like yes, the competition is important, but this is about lifestyle. Like how can you maintain a healthy lifestyle?
We're just
So
using it as a goal because he knows I
yeah,
like to set goals. Not to say I'm going to make it, but that's our goal, is to
yeah,
do that. I mean, a year ago I only walked 88 steps. I have 2 artificial knees, and so it's just I'm working on just trying to get my strength back. And he challenged me, and I love it. So
yeah.
it's just love it, and it's so well. Last question for me is, you mentioned your wife. Is your wife in the industry? Is she doing acting, or is she just a great supporter? Or
She's all those things.
yeah, yeah.
She we actually met at UMKC. We did a show together, The Three Sisters by or not Stanislavski. What is Anton Chekhov? Yes, we did Three Sisters,
Oh,
and that's how we met. We started kind of like talking and everything, and then fast forward, we end up getting engaged and married. So yeah, she is an actor and creator, and she is the reason why I was able to really pursue this thing full time because she was the one that kind of definitely took the bullet and worked a like normal 9 to 5 while I really tried to forge ahead to do this.
yeah.
And fortunately, we definitely were able to get to a place where now she's jumping back in. It'll be a year, I think, next month that she's jumped back in to that space. So she acts, she creates content, she's really passionate about children's programming, so like Sesame Street and PBS and things like that. She on her YouTube channel as well as her Instagram, she makes content for children using puppets, so she's also a puppeteer.
Oh,
And just recently, and I don't remember the exact title that she has, but long story short, she works in partnership with Influence Lab, which is an organization that brings together women of faith in LA. And they wanted to bring that down here in Atlanta. So now she's like kind of in charge of bringing that down in Atlanta.
and the very, very last question for me is, what character am I going to be watching for you to be in this Marvel movie?
I'm such a nerd for this stuff. I literally looked up lists of people I can play that are within the Black Panther situation. People who are bald because I'm going bald, so pretty soon I'm gonna have to do that. Like I've looked up all these different things, and like I don't know who I would play. I mean, I would love to be leading a franchise though for sure. Um, if anything, there's been some jokes thrown around, just like, "Hey, you kind of look like Anthony Mackie, so maybe you can be an alternate universe Falcon or something like that." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I could be his cousin. I don't know." But yeah,
A good character or bad character, evil or good, doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
would say I would have a fun time playing a villain though. I think.
Villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you get your dream.
Me too.
So
I appreciate that.
thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, thank you for the questions, Paula.
Yeah.
I know. You could see that. You could see why I keep her around. she's pretty incredible. She didn't tell you she jumped out of a plane not too long ago as well.
Wow. What was that like?
It was a challenge that when my grandson was 12 years old, I took him parasailing and he wanted to do it again. And I had white knuckles and I was like shaking. And I go, "Oh, honey, when you get older, we'll do it." He goes, "Jump out of a plane?" And I go, "Okay, we'll jump out of a plane." Well, he turned 20 this year. And in November, on the 27th of November, I showed up in Miami and says, "Guess what? We're going to jump out of a plane." And we went 10,000 feet in the air and did a free fall. I mean, 122 miles an hour free fall. Yeah. It was awesome. It was just so awesome. It was like, I always said I was looking for freedom, but I found peace, because when you're just floating down, it just is breathtaking and it just peace.
What was that moment before, like right before you did it? What was that?
Oh,
moment?
My heart was pounding like crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, what did you say to this kid? Why did you agree to this? He said to me just before, he said, "Grandma, I was 12 years old and you're going to hold me to this?"
I'm teaching you to stick to your word.
That's right. That's right. But it was an experience that we'll never forget. That we did. And I said to him when we that first jump out, I said, "Don't close your eyes. You only get that first once."
Wow.
It's a first free fall, first jump, first. And I said, "Don't close your eyes." Yeah. Wow. It was wonderful.
Hey, yeah. I'm sweating just thinking about that. That's amazing.
Yeah. 69 years old, and I did it. So I'm just really thrilled.
That's amazing.
I hope to do it again someday, but I'm going to work on my weightlifting. That's my big challenge right now.
That's right. That's cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for coming on and doing this. This was fun.
Yeah.
I always enjoy hearing about actors' experiences and auditions that they've had, and the joy they experience when they book a major role. It's always fun to hear about.
Yeah, because
I appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, Chad's an actor too. He's a podcast.
Nice. So yeah, you know.
Yeah. So.
And I also worked as a personal trainer for like 12 years.
There you go.
Like, yeah, you two might have something in common here. Yeah, I know exactly. Chad.
Personal training does pair really well with acting. Like, so yeah.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Chad. That's great. Well, Frank, man, this has been absolutely amazing. I loved all that you shared. So thank you so much for sharing all that you did, and then a beautiful virtual audience, and so this is awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you reached out and asked, and if you ever need me to come back again, I'll be glad to.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Well, definitely when you book the Marvel movie, we will definitely have you back. That's gonna be definite, but probably before that, because it's you have I think that we could have a whole series of shows. There's a lot of things that I think we could talk about. But just thank you for sharing like you did, and if you guys want to thank him, if you want to unmute and thank him, feel free. You can jump in and say, thank you, whatever you want to say.
I really enjoyed today. It was very nice. Thank you so much. And please give our regards to your wife also for putting up with you.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Frank. Thank you to my audience as well, Paula, Chad, and Darlene. And have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week.
You too.
God
Thank
bless.
you guys.
God bless.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, this was the first time that I got to chat with Frank in person via Zoom. And And I have to tell you, he thoroughly impressed me. I was reminded of so many things that I adore about him as a person, as an actor, as a creative artist. And I just appreciate his philosophy and all that he was willing to share, the stories that he shared. And after all, no doubt we're looking at our next Marvel superhero. I mean, come on. We're talking about Frank Oakley III, who could play absolutely any role that he wanted to. So let's take him from Sweet Magnolias and Hallmark and get him in that Marvel universe now. I am very excited about whatever movie he has coming up. I'm excited to jump in and watch him in the Wonder Years. But I really hope that all of you were able to get a sense of who he was and who he is in this particular episode. What I would really appreciate is that if you would look at the show notes, please follow Frank, of course. But I'd really appreciate it if you follow me as well. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate, review, subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, I really appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe. You guys are great. I hope that you'll join the Facebook group so that you can come and be a part of my roadshow audience. I've got some great people coming up a little bit later on this summer and in the fall, so please join. Regardless, I hope and pray that this episode has blessed you and that my podcast continues to bless you. You all have blessed me, and I thank you so much for making what was a dream in my head, a vision in my heart, become a reality. It is with joy and delight that I wish you all the best. God bless you. Until next time.